ahead and get started. Given I'm sure Kelly has tons and tons to get through, and I know at least Christy and I have some probably contributions as well, and specifically in relation to how to integrate what Kelly's going to be showing you into our courses. And so, as I alluded to in class yesterday, one reason we're doing this tool time now is so that you can begin troubleshooting and learning. It's recording.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry. But I like your headset.
Edit that part out.
So, just the important reason for why we're doing this is that it's really important to begin thinking now about not necessarily how you're going to build your final e-portfolio, but getting your artifacts as you produce them onto the e-portfolio. If you look ahead in our course's syllabus, the very final assignment is for you to take all your artifacts from this class, the lab artifacts, and have it and put it into a community profile for yourself and for others on your e-portfolio. And so you don't want to wait until the very last day of week to begin learning how to use Mahara. It's going to be much easier if you have everything. You've got your edited products up there. After you get feedback, you've troubleshot how to get your videos to play and all of that. And so truly what you're dealing with is just the layout and then reflection on those. And so what we are encouraging you to do is, as you're getting feedback on your lab assignments, take that feedback into account, work on your lab assignment, and then put it onto the e-portfolio to set the stage. And then again, Christy can talk, but in the very last week of her course, which of course is not for another 9 weeks, and so you'll have even more artifacts to deal with after you take your professional skills and knowledge course, but you will be doing the same at a bigger level in Christy's course with your whole e-portfolio, not just a page. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly, but Christy, do you have any additional points you want to add now? Obviously, I think we'll come back to this in the last 15 minutes of class or so, but I wanted to kind of set the stage for why we're looking at the e-portfolio so intensely now.
No, I think that's great, Luke, and I think there's an echo here. The most important is that we have the mechanical foundation to be able to know, and that's what Kelly's going to go over, to be able to upload things and know how to create collections and pages, and so that's what we want everybody to be familiar with right now. So Kelly, over to you.
Yeah, so I don't know if we ever actually went over how to actually just create a page in Portfolio. I think we sort of glossed over that. So I'm going to just go through that on the video here and on a screen share, and then we'll have that ready to go. So if I can do that. See where we at.
So I've pinned your video, Kelly, and also made you a co-host, just so you know. So you should have full permission.
So you're seeing, I'm not, well, anyway, so this is my test student, and you're seeing his email inbox here and his learn.future.edu account. So if you go to Portfolio in here, and all we're going to do is just create a page. And so over here, this is the 3 lines to the right here, the main menu. So it gives you a bunch of options under here. The fastest way to do it is to do the down arrow by portfolio, go to pages and collections, and you'll see this person already has quite a few pages that I've created over time. So you just say add, and it's going to ask you for page or collection, and we'll go over collection in a minute, but page, and then the first screen, you're just naming the page. So March, oh, it's not March, it's April 7th. And then you can give a little description. This is from our test. And then we will also go over how to tag and why to tag. But for now, you just want to save that page. And so now if you went back to your pages and collections, you'll see the April 7, this is our test page in your ePortfolio. And so then if you want to edit it, which you would because there's actually no content in there, you go here and you basically are left with sort of a blank screen to start with. So there's a bunch of different options that you can add from this side. And my suggestion is to just kind of, first of all, sort of have an idea of what you want to put on the page. So you can upload a Word document, you could upload a video, you could upload just text, some images, but it is kind of a good idea to have a basic idea of what you want it to look like, because when you're confronted with a completely empty page, it can be sort of intimidating. So you can edit the content and you can also edit the layout, which means that then the different boxes do different things, which can also be very helpful when depending on what sort of layout you want. So that's the basics of page. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my buttons, but it's all gone. Sorry, I really can't see them. There we go. So has everybody created a page before? Or is that something we haven't quite gotten to? Okay. I don't know, Luke, if we should just stop right now and let people try that.
I think that'd be a good idea, actually, Kelly, because it can, when watching these how-to videos, it can just be overwhelming if you get too much at once. So I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah. So if you guys just want to try what I just did on your learn.future.edu, and if you have a question, just put it in the chat or raise your hand, or because that is sort of the key to figuring out where those buttons are, because that's really step one, and then all the other things kind of feed onto that.
Okay, so that sounds good. It's 9:09 my time, so why don't we give you guys about 5 minutes to try that, and we'll start the discussion again at 9:15. So if everybody wants to log into Mahara and just try to make a sample page, use, just some artifact that you have, Word document, just to try the steps Kelly went through. And I'm going to pause the recording while we do this. So everybody, in 5 minutes, regardless of what time schedule you're on, set a timer for 5 minutes, and then we will regroup after you all try this. Is any questions before we do that?
Luke?
Just ask while we're doing it.
So I think it seems like the critical first step then is to go to the right-hand corner where you have the 3 lines, right? Because that's often where I get hung up. So you go to that, and then you click on Portfolio, and then Pages and Collections. I mean, just to make sure everyone's getting started at the right place.
Yeah, great point of clarification, Christy. Are there any additional questions, or is everybody ready? See, Kelly just circled it in green on her screen share. And we'll give you 5 minutes to try to do that and resume the discussion at 9:15. And just raise your hand if you have a question or enter it in the chat window. I will not be turning off the Zoom, just the record. Anyway, let's pick it up so that we can keep the discussion going. Hopefully, some of you were able to successfully do it, and it looks, maybe we just kick off the discussion by responding to Biba's question about.
Yeah, I can try and do that. I was sort of moving on to the next. I think it's probably, why does the screen keep moving? I can add, there's, as far as images, there's a couple of different ways that you can input the images. They can either be as an image file, and there's one of those buttons on the side said image. There's one that says like embedded files. So there's different ways that you can sort of, you have to then have the image actually loaded in as a file. So if this is something, maybe I should do another specific thing on the image portion of portfolio. But it is the kind of thing that if you play with it for a little bit, it does start to make a little bit more sense. But I can definitely put one together on images, particularly because people will be using a lot of multimedia. What I wanted to show you next was let's say you've built your page and portfolio, and for Christy's course, you have to submit it as an assignment for I think it's next week. And so let me show you how to do that, because that's actually much more straightforward than what we did in the first week of class. So it will feel intimidating, but it really is straightforward. So if we go back to my, yes, who is this? Yeah, so my test student here. So, you know, here we are in Learn. And if you go to the equipment check, if I can get there, come on, computer. Really doesn't like to go. Let's try this way. Okay, so if we go to equipment check, you know, you saw this at the first week of class, but it's also a really good place to kind of go back to if there's something you want to test out, but you don't want to put it in any of the in the actual, see if this is, let me start over. If you want to test something out, but you don't want it to sort of show up in any of the course material or any of your actual assignments, you can test things out within equipment check here. So for submit an assignment, this is what this little hand with the paper is what you see on Christy's course and on Luke's course. If you go into that, let me make sure that I'm a student here. Oh yeah, I am. So submit an assignment, there's a couple of different instructions here, but you add a submission. And instead of adding a file like you would if you were submitting a Word document or a link for a PowerPoint or a YouTube video, you can just select the page that you just created in Mahara. So here's remember I named it April 7th? So I can actually just submit April 7th, ignore this box, ignore that box, and save the changes. And that's it.
I'm not sure for where you are.
Okay.
Showing up on our screen.
Oh,
but I don't see what you're describing. I see just the welcome to Moodle page right now.
Okay, let me start over. Maybe is it saying equipment? Is it moving at all or not?
It's not changing according.
It says welcome to Moodle.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
And I see your cursor moving around. Right? Yeah, we're right there.
Okay, let me start over. So this is the equipment check course in Moodle. And here are the different ways that you can sort of, the different things that we do within each of the courses. So you submit an assignment, and you can actually just submit, well, this one I've already submitted, but I can edit my submission. And you can just choose one of your pages. So these are all the pages that I have in Mahara. There's my photo voice, a resume, story map. So I can just test page. So I can choose one of these and then just, or a collection. You'll see I also have collections here. You can choose a collection and then just save changes. And that would submit it to Christy as your assignment. Does that make more sense now that you can actually see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I wonder if they should actually go to my page and see where that is and click on to see what those different options will be. That might be a good next step to clarify this. What do you think about doing that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can either do it and you can do it there, or you can do it in the equipment check, and then you're doing it without worrying about what you're submitting for Christy's course. However, I'm sure Christy will let you resubmit if it's not quite right.
Yeah, why don't you try that out just to make sure you know, either in the equipment check or go to my course where it says photo voice, and then don't actually click on anything to submit, but to go to where those options are.
Okay, so how long do we want to do this? Because I want to pause the recording
Okay.
during that period of time. So
maybe another 5 minutes just to check that out to be able to.
Yeah, so we'll give it 5 minutes. Come back at 9:27, I guess, our time. So set your timers for 5 minutes. Okay, well, I've resumed the recording. Kelly, do we have active questions? We just have one about the calendar, but how did that trial go for people? Are you having success with these, or do we have active questions or problems coming forward?
Feel pretty confident about doing that? Those people that we can't see, you have to type something, otherwise we don't know you're there.
You
I'm
might
having
have
a
your
question.
microphone. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, too.
When I see the assignment that was submitted, I see one I can say export to ePortfolio, and I try it. It takes quite a long time, right? So we have to wait. And I just don't know like how long I should wait for that. But when I check my ePortfolio, I didn't see anything. When it says something like
Right.
finished or done.
Right. Okay. So I'll address this, but it is a little complicated and probably not something we need to get into right now. There is a button in the forum area and in your assignments that say export to portfolio. So let's say you submitted a written assignment for Luke, and then you also want to export. You want to export that written Word document into portfolio, which is actually a pretty good thing to get in the habit of doing. It does take a lot of time. So it does, even on my end, it takes some time to kind of make the connection between portfolio and learn.future.edu. Also, if you haven't been into portfolio in the recent, in the last hour, it sometimes times out the connection. So if it seems to be taking an awful long time, I would just leave it for a bit and then come back and try it again. I don't think it locks you out if you wait till later, but I'm happy to see how people have had experience with that. It does go to a particular place within portfolio. I can try and show you. I'm not quite prepped for this. And as you can tell, I keep getting into the wrong parts of my computer. So are you looking at my Mahara now? Christy, nod. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So it goes into an area called, you'd think it should just make itself a portfolio, but it doesn't. It goes into an area called files. And it's called incoming files imported from other networked hosts. Learn.future.edu is a networked host. So you go into this folder, and these are a couple of things that I've uploaded into my portfolio from Moodle. So this one is a PDF called Taylor. This is some a feedback summary. This is actually a post I made. So you can actually export forum posts that you put into Moodle into Mahara. So the quick answer to that, or the shorter answer to that, is this is where those files go. So if you were to look at if you did that export button and look in the files area, and then under the parent folder incoming, you should see the folder there if it's transferred. If the disconnect happened in between, then it won't be there, and you should try again. So I hope that answers that question.
That's a good feature to know, Kelly, especially with some of the forum posts that have been really substantial. Reflections are often done in forum posts, and we're talking about wanting to show those reflections and to showcase reflections also in the ePortfolio. So thank you for showing that.
Yeah, sure.
And Kelly, can you walk? I know we've had one or two people do it, but walking through kind of going the other way, and maybe this is what we just did, that, the idea of submitting something putting something on Mahara and then submitting it as an assignment for a course. I know that's possible, right?
Right. So that's what I did just then with the wrong screen open.
Oh, okay.
So you just go to the assignment, and then if it's been actioned by the faculty member, you can just click on the button of the name of the ePortfolio page you want to submit. The other difference, just because we did this, we did the secret URL way the first week of school, so class. With that one, you could go back and edit it after you submitted it. But if you submit your ePortfolio via the assignment feature, you cannot return to it and edit it. It's actually locked down so that the faculty member can give you feedback and grade what you submitted.
Okay, so that's an important point of clarification. And obviously, I haven't gotten to do this because it's my shows up as, you know, I'm not submitting stuff to my own class. But I am interested, and I certainly know that this has come up. And so if something is uploaded to Mahara, and then in order to submit it, they don't go into Mahara and submit via Mahara. They would still go into the Moodle assignment, and then instead of uploading a document, they will hit the toggle that said submit, and they should have all seen this, a Mahara. And so I know in my course, every lab assignment, you can submit a Mahara page.
Right.
So that's another way to go about it, and I would encourage people who want to use that feature, because it's kind of two ways of getting to the same thing. You can initially submit it to Mahara and then turn it as an assignment, or as many of you have been doing, you can turn it in as an assignment, whether it's a PowerPoint or whatever, to the course. But keep in mind that by the end of the course, you will have wanted to upload most of those lab assignments to your Mahara page as well. And that's one reason we're doing this. I just want to keep reminding folks that once you have a product you know you're done with, you're going to be having a lot of lab work in our course. I'll be trying to get that back to you as soon as possible. And I strongly urge you to look at any feedback you got and then almost immediately store it on your Mahara page. It'll make your final week of at least this course much easier, and probably the entire term.
Kelly, could you maybe go with your test student, go to my course just to show the example again? You did it in equipment check, but just to reiterate the process that Luke was talking about accessing your Mahara page through Moodle, through the Moodle assignment feature.
So are you now seeing my test student? Just double checking. Yeah, so here really doesn't like to do that. Let's try this way. So I've 16% completed, Christy. So yeah, so you find the annotated bit. Oh, not that one, sorry. Yeah, photo voice, evidence of photo voice. Oh, we've already graded my submission, but that's okay. And let's say I want to, so I submitted that one before, but that was incorrect. I actually want to submit this April 7th version, and I ignore this file submission. So it's a little bit confusing because you want to put something in here as well. These are the different options. It's either or situation. If you put a file in here, Moodle will get confused and ask you which one you want to use.
Good to know.
And waiting for learn.future.edu. Right. So now you can see I submitted my Mahara portfolio called April 7th. And I can actually look at it by clicking on this magnifying glass. This is the same area, I think, if you submit a Word document, you see what the Word document you submitted on this line. Oh, see, it's timed me out, but let's see what it did. So this is it trying to give me a preview of what I submitted, which I'm not sure what's going to show up because I didn't really have anything on that page. So it might be this, but there should be some content here for you to preview. So I'm hoping that, so we've done that a couple times now. I'm hoping that people will be able to sort of follow that on their own. Yeah, is that good? I was just going to go over groups because we sort of touched on that in Christy's or in Christy's section yesterday, and I don't want people to stay too confused for too long. Is that okay, Luke?
I think that's a great idea because I still am not entirely certain I understand groups. So
sure. Okay, so groups. And hopefully I'm back to my So this is test me. And so groups is a feature in Portfolio that allows you to, like if you think of Mahara like Facebook, you know, this is your individual Facebook page, and everybody else is all the other people in Facebook. And the groups work a lot like groups in Facebook or WhatsApp groups. You pick and choose who you want to be in your group, and then things can be shared within that group. So the way that we've set this up for this term is that there's a group for each of the courses. So there's a group for PRC 601 and a group for ACC 601. And there's a group for the whole class of 2019. So you want to know what groups you're in. So again, back to this magical button here on the right. And there's a whole tab of just groups. So let's see who my test student, what groups he's in. So he has requested permission to join the ACC 601 class of 2019. There's certain different, the way you all can make up your own groups and make up your own rules around how do people get into your group. So you can have them public so anybody can join without any permissions. You can make it private so no one can see it. Or you can make it like this where it's available, but you have to get permission from the group administrator. In this case, also me. So so my test student here is waiting for Kelly Fleming to approve their admission into ACC 601, which I will do later today, and I will do for all of you when you submit your request. So I also want to see what other groups are out there. So you can go to Find Groups. And these are, if there's a couple of options up here, groups I can join, groups I'm not in, groups I'm in, all groups. So we don't have a lot of groups at the moment in Mahara because this is the first semester we're using it. So that's why actually there's, well, as you can see here, there's 4. And because test student is also in the PRC 601 course, I want to join that group. And here I am. You are now a group member. So this was the sort of a public group. And you can see Christy was trying to share, and these are the only members so far. So there's quite a few people from your class who haven't quite joined the PRC 601 group yet. And so there will be some more prompts to encourage you to join this group. Because as you can see, Christy shared with you her photo voice example via this group. So people that are in this group can access her photo voice example. People that are not in this group cannot. So that's why if you tried to go onto her link and you had access denied, that's because you are not actually a group member yet. So as a group member, I can go in here, and here's the beautiful photo voice example that Christy gave. You would have seen yesterday. So a couple of different photos with some description and a little reflection on the process of photo voice. And you'll also see that, and I'm not sure if Truk and Tristan realized that they were sharing, but they've actually shared their learning plans on this group as well. And I can remove, if they really don't want to share them, I think it's really great to share. We can remove them because sometimes we do things we don't really mean to do. So that's groups. So then the last group that I haven't added myself to, oh, that's my groups. So and then I want to go to Find Groups, is the class of 2019, because I'm also a member of the class of 2019. And now I can see that, and this is a different bunch of people who are in this group. And also another reminder that people should probably be adding their membership to these groups. And so just a reminder that every term there is going to be a group for your course. So at the end of Luke's 8 weeks, there's going to be the PSK groups, and they're going to be in here as well. And it's just a kind of a way to be able to communicate with your particular cohort that's in your course. Because as you know, you're all in PRC 601 together and ACC 601 together. But starting at the end of April, beginning of May, you're going to be split into your specializations. So that's how groups work.
That's a really helpful overview of that.
Sure.
is very, very helpful. Does anybody have any questions about that? And why don't we go ahead? Trook's on the line. Trook, did you mean to share that? If so, thank you for sharing. But, as look, some of you have clearly spent a little more time playing around than others. So do people have questions? We have a good 15 minutes, 20 minutes to answer technical questions of all natures related to Mahara and Moodle, if you have them.
I don't really mean to share that, so.
Okay, well, Kelly, how can you walk us through the unsharing process?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot now. I think because Trook shared this, she'll need to unshare with us. I'm not sure I can do it as my test student. Let me just see what happens. So that was in PRC, wasn't it? I know exactly what happened. I can explain. When we were going through the process of the secret URL, I think both Trook and Tristan got a little confused about the access. So right next to the picture of the secret URL globe, there was a little lock. And what you've done is you've unlocked access to this document. So what you want to do, I mean, if you can do this while you're listening to me talk, is go into your portfolio. Maybe I'll try to do it. Find the portfolio that you shared, and here it says manage access. And it's possible that on this line it says shared with, and you actually have details here, or it's sort of open. So it says, you said share with public is possibly what happened. So what you want to do is delete the line of the shared with, so it doesn't have any content. So right now there's no one having access to this page except me, because it's not shared with anyone. And I'll just go into sharing because we're on the screen. This is how this is one way you can share. We use the secret URL avenue for sharing our learning plans right at the beginning. But you can look in here, you can search for and share with particular friends. So I have no friends apparently. Nope. So if you had friends, you could share them with particular friends. Like when we were talking about, it'd be really great to see other people's work. There is a way to share your ePortfolio specifically with certain people. And you can see here, you can actually limit it to just a week or a day or an hour so that they're not having access forever, or just leave those blank. You can share with your group. So I should be able to share with my group. Right, so I can share this with PRC 601, everyone in my group, or the admin or members, and give it a timeline, and then I'll sit or you'll see the other downloads here: users, public, registered users, friends. Those are sort of the same thing. Or everybody who is in Future Generations Moodle, which in our case is public. We have an institutional account with Mahara, which means that our Mahara is the public Mahara. So it's not like it's public with like the whole world. It's just public within anybody who can use it within the context of Future Generations, if that makes sense. And we'll go over this again, but you'll see. So these are all the different pages that I have and the way that I'm sharing them. So you can see here, April 6th is being shared with 2019 PRC. Learning Plan Term 1 Kelly is being shared with Christy, and profile page is being shared with everybody. So this is a good place to check if you feel like it seems like things are a little weird or someone can't see what I'm looking for. That will show you. And you can also see on this side that this learning plan has one secret URL that's active. So that was a quick overview of sharing, which I'm sure we'll go over again because it's a very useful tool, but you kind of need to have all the details in line.
Yeah, that was very helpful also. And Kelly, I know that this recording will be shared. Will you be creating just kind of a few minute concise recording going over each of these features? I mean, I think that would, just to be able to, quick and dirty 5 minutes, review how to get onto collections and pages, and review how to submit the assignment through Access Mahara through the Moodle assignment feature, and also this group function. You're muted.
I sort of had a question for the group about that. I mean, it's easy, quite straightforward for me to create little videos, you know, sort of 3-minute screen shares with my voice, but I can also do, you know, screenshot kind of PowerPoint example, or just sort of the text about how to get from here to here to here. And I didn't know if people have, I mean, your preference, do you have a, you know, which would you prefer, to watch a video of me doing something and then follow along, or have sort of like step-by-step instructions written out in Word form? If you want to just type what you think would be, I mean, I don't have to do what you say, but it'd be interesting to see, because I think sometimes I find following a video on YouTube good, but then sometimes it's a little overkill as far as the amount of technology happening all at once. Okay, thanks.
Viva says the video.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely been sort of the overarching theme, but so I can keep doing those. Do other people think that's useful? Yeah, right, yeah.
I really think that it depends on a person's habit and learning modality, because actually I'm just getting out into where a video is helpful, but in general, I have preferred step-by-step directions. Like, look at
Oh,
this.
good job.
That's awesome. But yeah, in general, I have preferred a step-by-step direction, like go to those 3 bars at the top, and then, you know, so sometimes that's helpful also.
So if anybody, okay, yeah, great. We've got some answers coming in. I've wanted to play with the poll feature for some time, so.
This is great, Luke. It hasn't
Luke,
even been on my radar.
Luke, just so you know, I can see that loading, because I think I'm a co-host. But Christy, did you just get the question?
I just got the question.
Yeah, I
can you see the answers coming in?
I can see the answers, but I wasn't able to vote.
Oh, okay, that's why. Yeah.
Just something to note.
So everybody, if you haven't voted yet, please vote on the poll that is open.
By instructional presentation, what do you mean? A PowerPoint or step-by-step instructions, or?
Either one. Something that is more written, you know, basically a PowerPoint with some screenshots, as Kelly was saying, that's a static item versus an actual recording that you would need to pause if you wanted to try one of the steps.
Right.
And we can make either, but it's which one is easier and more helpful to you.
How about both?
Well, that's you have to talk to Kelly about that.
Cool. Very cool.
Hi. I'm thinking of the step-by-step tutorial, but with some small example. It's not necessarily go to a very specific one, because I think the point is that if we can get the idea of why we do that, so we can like figure out how to do it to the best way for ourselves, like one way or the other. So with technology, it's really hard to go very specific with every single thing. Yeah. I have one question. Like one of the assignments I submitted to Christy, and she gave me the feedback, and I revised that. Normally, I can ask for a favor to have a look at that to improve it better. But is there any way from Mahara so she can see my revision, even if not like necessarily for another rate, but at least I know that I modify it in a better way, and she's aware of that? Should I share the URL, the secret URL with her?
I would suggest if you are up for it, I would build an ePortfolio page or put it on a ePortfolio page for the course material that you're doing for Christy's course. And then you saw the share, you can share with a person. I would share with your friend Christy and then let her know that you've done that, because I think that's good practice for the way that things are going to be done going forward. I mean, I don't think Christy would require that, but it is a good practice to get into so that you can share your work. Not only for sharing your work, but for practicing putting up a final version, because that is exactly what we want people to do. Submit an assignment, get the feedback, edit as accordingly, and then post into their ePortfolio so that they have that document for their portfolio, and also if they need to share with other other people within Mahara.
Are you talking about a specific assignment that you've done?
Yeah, this is the peer review, and then I revised that, and you gave me the rate, like around like 88, but still have some wondering around was like the success I identify is not really like proper with the literature review. So if I modify that, it's just like for myself. No one is going to like read it again, or at least like give me some feedback, but I'm doing like some good modification or not. So that's why.
Yeah, you're not talking about Mahara, then you're talking about being able to revise it and resubmit it to Moodle, or revise it so I can see it.
Not only like you, but maybe my peer, like the one who are in my group in Concur. Maybe they know my situation, and then with your feedback, they know exactly like why I need to modify it or revise it, and they can give me some feedback too. So it's easier because.
Yeah, dude, I think I understand part of this is what is a way to get additional feedback from your peers? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is a good use of Mahara. Would be to put your revised version onto Mahara and share it with the specific friends and ask them for feedback. Now, I don't know if they can actually give you feedback directly on the document, in which case this is another great function feature that would come with your Google Drive, where you would make it a shared you'd upload it to Google Drive and make it a shared document, and you can share using your future generation's email, because that's all through Google, and then they can all view it and give you feedback in one place in the cloud. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have done similar thing at work, so I know the good use of Google Drive. But I think with the share thing on Moodle, like forum, it's easier to get not the people from one like the same contact. The people with different contact can give you better hints of doing things, because now what I'm doing right now is a little bit challenging to connect what I have learned through the course with my practical contact to see the connection, to see whether I can do that or not. So I need to see other people's feedback for the better reflection of my own work.
So for what you're saying about the forum, then you would like to possibly open a discussion forum where you can share your work and then get feedback from others right in that forum.
Yeah, but if we use that similar to forum, I feel like I'm bothering too many people at the same time. So I think Mahara gives like a hint of sharing with a group of friends in a form of the instead
there
of
you can choose. Then it becomes a real self-directed type of activity, which is great, where you use it for your own needs. You share it with the ones you want to share it with and ask specifically for their feedback.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I would try to use that group feature and have it on there as a group share. And there is you can activate or deactivate the comments, so they can look at whatever you uploaded and then put comments down the bottom, which would be one way to kind of, you know, direct people to what you want. So, but I think that's a great use, and it would be very good to try that out, because we do want to learn from each other.
And we want you guys to be able to use it for your own needs without us prompting via a specific assignment or activity like that. So,
Luke, do you want to share the results, or?
Oh, I don't. I lost the.
I can share them.
Oh, here they are. Yeah. So anyway, that we got 5 out of the 8 of you participated, and the videos seem to be the favorites. So I think one option, Kelly, on something like that, and ultimately it's up to you, would be to kind of say, here are the 5 steps, and then within that have embedded, you know, in a document with a quick screen share plus a URL that goes more in depth on each of those steps. But however you decide, I'm sure that will be very, very good. And anyway, it's I wanted to also ask in the final moments, what are there things to watch out for that you, Kelly, or Christy have run into on Mahara, whether it's using PDFs versus other document types, certain types of things to either avoid or be aware of in terms of uploading or file size. The one thing I noted that's come up so far is the importance of refreshing and making sure you've got an active connection, and then verifying that things uploaded, testing them. Don't just assume just because something looks like it uploaded that it successfully uploaded and is loading correctly. But I'd be interested to hear if there are other kind of tips or tricks to watch out for as you're attempting to use Moodle, or easy places you can go, or kind of ways to sidestep problems in the final minutes as we encourage people to upload and play around on Moodle in the remaining weeks of the term.
Sure. I would say one thing that I think catches both Christy and I out is that depending on which of those menu items you're on that the right-hand column, you get different options across the top as far as if you can edit or share or whatever. But the screens that you're on look exactly the same, if that makes any sense. So if you feel like you're missing some buttons, it's possible that you're just in the wrong version of that page. So I would suggest if you feel like you can't edit a page, it's possible that that's because the page that you've gotten to is actually the one that you're supposed to use to identify how to share it. So just go back to that main menu and go back to Pages and Collections and go back to the Edit button, because that's something that has been a little bit can be a little concerning, because you're like, I'm pretty sure I can edit this page, but there's no edit button. So the edit buttons are connected to the collection area of Portfolio. And then the second thing just to keep in mind is that it's a live system. So if you delete a section, it's just going to delete. There's no undo. It's just gone. Usually the content will be in that file area that I explained, but it's just a number. Just something to keep in mind is that it's like I said, live. So any edits you do are going to happen automatically, and so there's no another reason why you should refresh to see what you're actually working with is the final version. So there's a lot of fun features. You can basically copy if you have a layout for one of your portfolio pages, you really like the layout, you can copy the entire layout and all the content and then move it around. I think it's just one of those things that try to use it before you get too close to the deadline, because the closer you get to the deadline, the more chance the internet's going to just not work for you. But if you can get things, if you can just get used to using it, I think that's really just the name of the game with any of these learning technologies that are web-based.
Yeah, just related to that, you know, I know that the idea of just kind of practice makes perfect can be a little frustrating or eluding, but I would just remind everybody how unwieldy or unfamiliar we all were with Moodle at the beginning of the term, and hopefully, you know, submitting things or finding things on Moodle has become much easier for you. And that's exactly, unfortunately, because Mahara, you're going to need to use it, but you're not pressed to learn it in the same way that you were pressed to learn Moodle early on. And so that's why we're really encouraging you to start playing around on Mahara, so that you do attain this level of familiarity before you're really trying to do a final assignment. And so I just, if you think about how much easier it is to get on the Moodle now that you've spent some time practicing, as Kelly was saying, the same is going to be equally true with Mahara.
Yeah, I would only add, just don't hesitate to ask us questions. I know that in our Mahara system before, I spent about an hour trying to figure out how to upload a photo in the right direction. It wouldn't let me upload it. So there can be things that will trip you up, and just don't hesitate to ask about things like that. Ask for help. I think that's it. We're past 10, so.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming. As always, I will be keeping this window. I'll be turning off the recording now, but keeping the office hours open